Hello, Ken. Thanks for tuning in, and what a football game. Before I get into it, remember to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell down below. I greatly appreciate it. But, wow, I think is the first thing. I did not expect that, clearly, based on my prediction. I did not expect Michigan's offense to look that good against Wisconsin's defense. I didn't expect their passing game to be able to move the football like they did. So, wow, is all I can say. What a great game. What a great game. Where to begin? Mike McDonald continues to impress me. My goodness, what a great play caller he is. What a find for Jim Harbaugh. To have a defensive coordinator that's that young, who's never called plays before, never, been the defensive coordinator before, and he's really been put in some rough situations in these last couple games. Tight games where he's really relying the team as a whole. It's really relying on the defense to step up and make stops and make some plays. And they've answered every single time. I love his play calling. I can't sing Mike McDonald's praises enough. He's a phenomenal defensive coordinator in my opinion. Obviously, as the year goes on, we're going to find out more. He's going to continue to be tested. And the biggest test is going to come in Ohio State. There's no doubt about it. But he's going to face other tests along the way. Michigan State has a pretty good offense. Penn State has a pretty good offense. So it's only going to get harder from here. Wisconsin's offense isn't exactly a world beater. I think everybody knows that. They've really shot themselves in the foot more than maybe any other team I've seen so far this season, outside of the Miami Hurricanes, probably. All that aside, though, Wisconsin's defense is really, really good, and that's why I was so surprised by the offense. But Mike McDonald doing a fantastic job. He's been a heck of a find for Jim Harbaugh so far. Hopefully the defense can and Mike McDonald can keep that going as the year goes on, because that'll be huge for them. What else? David Ojabo and Cornelius Johnson had a little bit of a coming out party. It took Cornelius Johnson a little while to get going, but in the second half, man, he really stepped up to the plate. Really provided some big plays for that passing attack. And I guess early on, even in the flea flicker, he caught that touchdown pass as well. So he just had a really nice game. David Ojabo had a fantastic game for the Michigan defense. I was waiting for somebody else to step up along that front line outside of Aiden Hutchinson, and David Ojabo is that guy. I don't think he left any doubt after this one. Ojabo and Hutchinson dominated Wisconsin's offensive tackles. They couldn't stop them, couldn't block them. Wisconsin's run game was okay. Their run blocking was okay. I thought Michigan, especially in the middle at their defensive tackle position, I've been saying for a while now that I wanted to see them get off blocks a little bit better, and I thought they did that today. Obviously, it helps that Wisconsin center was hurt in pregame warm-up and wasn't able to go today. So that helped the defense a little bit. But overall, I thought they did a fantastic job. And Ojabo and Hutchinson really controlled this game. The amount of havoc they were able to create up front. And they were just unblockable. It didn't matter if Wisconsin was running. Didn't matter if they were passing. They couldn't stop these guys. And I think the thing that hurt Wisconsin the most was their Michigan's speed off the edges. Hutchinson and Ojabo were just straight running around the tackles. Wisconsin's tackles were too slow on their drop steps, couldn't get deep enough, fast enough to stop those guys from running around them. And, I'm singing David Ojabo's praises because he had a heck of a game, but some of those sacks that him and Hutchinson get aren't there if the middle doesn't create pressure. The biggest problem Wisconsin had was not just the speed on the edges, but the fact that Michigan's defensive tackles were collapsing the pocket in the middle. So the quarterback really had nowhere to go. He couldn't step up to avoid that outside pressure. And obviously he couldn't run out of the pocket because both Ojabo and Hutchinson were winning that battle. So either way he went, he was running into a Michigan defensive end. So a really great job by the defense. But David Ojabo, heck of a game. Cornelius Johnson had some big catches, some contested catches that looked fantastic. So great job for them. There's a little bit of a coming out party. I mean, really, Michigan dominated a game that I know it was a 38-17 final, but for all intents and purposes, this was 38-10. Wisconsin didn't score that extra touchdown until the end of the game when Michigan basically had their second and third stringers in. So for all intents and purposes, starter on starter, even backups, Michigan's initial backup group with J.J. McCarthy scored a touchdown on them. So Michigan really dominated this game. Wisconsin was able to get it close. There was some, I'm going to say, questionable coaching calls late in the first half. If I had to point to something right out the gate, that maybe was a little bit of a negative. I think the coaching, defensive play calling was a little bit too soft and allowed Wisconsin to score some points late in that half. But, you know, the defenders also have to make a play on that. Dax Hill was just beat on that beautiful touchdown pass from Graham Mertz. So, you know, he was there. It was a great throw and a great catch, and sometimes that happens. But I just wish he would have rolled up his safeties a little more, rolled up his corners a little more, played a little bit more pressure all the way through the first half, instead of getting a little more conservative and then letting Wisconsin back in the game. But that aside, you know, or to go along with that, Michigan came out in the second half and did exactly what they had to do to steal momentum back and not give Wisconsin any hopes of really closing this thing for the long run. So a great response by Michigan. You know, a little bit of a miscue in the end of the first half gave Wisconsin some points, but Michigan came out and took care of business. So credit to them for that. What else? What else we got? Offensively, Cade McNamara he's still a little bit up and down. You know, his completion percentage wasn't really that great. Part of it was his wide receivers were not winning their matchups. Credit to Wisconsin corners, you know, that for being left on an island quite often, they did a really fantastic job overall. But Cade McNamara, I thought, had a pretty good game. You know, nothing to write home about as far as like really blowing up off the top of the Wisconsin defense, but he did enough. Excuse me, he did enough to keep the Michigan offense going, and that's all they're asking him to do this year. Keep pounding the rock, keep taking care of the football, and make enough throws to keep the offense on schedule. That's it. Not asking him to beat, you know, these teams by himself. They're not asking him to put the team on his shoulders and really be the key focal point of the offense. So for what he's being asked to do, I think he's doing a pretty good job. And for that reason, I don't think that J.J. McCarthy should be, you know, I know there's going to be some talk about it, but I don't think that you make the switch yet. How do I want to put this? That being said, J.J. McCarthy's throw down the sideline is simple to Dalen Baldwin for the touchdown when he got his chance late in the game. That is a throw Cade McNamara cannot make. He has not shown he can make that. Baldwin had about half a step probably, I think, on the defensive back, and J.J. McCarthy dotted him. He threw a beautiful ball over the top. Baldwin did not even have to break stride, and that's huge. That's a throw that McNamara hasn't been able to show to make. Bennett hasn't been able to show he can make, especially with the defender being, you know, right behind that that wide receiver. A lot of Cade McNamara's deep throws are underthrown, and in that situation, if that ball is underthrown, the defender is close enough that he'll break it up, or it'll at least have to be a contested catch for the wide receiver. So I don't think you take McNamara out right now because he's the leader of this team, and he's doing enough to win ball games. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. However, man, the potential of J.J. McCarthy and that arm of his is just, it's really great feeling moving forward. I don't think we've had, since Harbaugh's been there, I don't think Michigan has had a quarterback that really makes you excited for the future. That, you know, that you can see he's got crazy arm talent already, even as a true freshman, and that certainly hasn't been there to this point. So, you know, if he continues to develop, do they make that change late in the year? Maybe. I think Cade McNamara is on a shorter leash. I think McCarthy has shown enough that if if they get into a game where Cade McNamara is really struggling to move the offense, that they will try J.J. McCarthy and see if he can get the job done, and then maybe McCarthy takes over. But it's really going to take McNamara to really struggle in a game before it gets to that point, and I'm okay with that. I think McNamara's done enough. He clearly doesn't have the arm talent J.J. McCarthy has, but, you know, he's your leader, and he's doing enough to win games. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Stick with McNamara for now, and just, it feels good to have McCarthy in that back pocket. Again, that throw he made down the sidelines is just not one that it's a tough throw, and it was a perfect throw from McCarthy, and that's not something McNamara's shown he has the ability to do yet. Maybe he does, and it just hasn't come together yet. I don't know, but haven't seen it out of him. So incredible throw from McCarthy, but no, I don't think you pull McNamara yet. Running backs, a solid game. Hassan Haskins continues to impress me, just being a battering ram. My gosh, there was maybe one, I think that one 4th and short. There was only a couple times Wisconsin was able to stop him. And that was only because the defensive lineman beat Michigan's offensive lineman. I will take, excuse me, I will take Haskins. Sorry, a little tickle in my throat. I will take Haskins against any linebacker, safety, corner, anybody on the defense. I will take Hassan Haskins to win that matchup and get a couple extra yards, except for a D lineman. They just have too much size. You know, you got Hassan Haskins at 220 pounds versus a defensive tackle who's probably pushing 300, especially for the Wisconsin defensive line, because they run more of a 3-4, so their defensive linemen are a little bit bigger across the board. So, of course, he's not going to win that matchup. You know, when a defensive lineman breaks free to bust up the play, Hassan Haskins is not going to be able to carry that guy for a couple yards. But in every other situation where there was not a defensive lineman that busted through to get to Hassan Haskins, he got at least 3 yards out of the play. Well, at least one on some of those 3rd and 4th and shorts when it was just a linebacker trying to stop him. He won that matchup, so continue to be impressed with him. I know he's not flashy at all, but man, he really helps this offense stay on schedule. Blake Corum has another quiet day, but I expect his quiet days to continue a little bit until somebody else proves they can be a playmaker on this offense, because right now all the focus is on Corum, and I can't blame the defense for that. You know, if you let that guy get out in space, he's going to kill you. So they're focusing on shutting him down, and most teams have done a pretty good job, but it's not like they've stopped him completely. You know, he's still making plays. He took some shots in this one. He got hit pretty hard a couple times. He bounced right back up and got back into it. So he's a tough guy, and he's a great running back. I'm really looking forward to seeing him and J.J. McCarthy in the backfield together. Will be real nice. A couple of dynamic playmakers, I think, in the future there. Corum already, but McCarthy in the future, as long as he continues to develop. Wide receivers, you saw some guys start to separate themselves a little bit. Roman Wilson, Sainra Still, Cornelius Johnson, and Dalen Baldwin is coming along nicely too. I think those guys are your top 4. Henning, situationally, you know, if you want to give him an end around, you know, give him a little bubble screen, those kind of things. I think Henning will be used a little more situationally, but Cornelius Johnson, Mike Sainra Still, Dalen Baldwin, and Roman Wilson, I thought, had a really nice game today. So I think those will be the guys that are the primary targets down the field. Eric All had a decent day. So yeah, some of those guys started to separate themselves from the pack a little bit. Cornelius Johnson definitely stepped up. I think he's becoming Cade McNamara's go-to. And he's playing pretty well. Hopefully he continues to develop as the year goes on and continues to look better. Offensive line, I thought, did a fantastic job. I felt like they did a great job, especially in pass pro. Not a lot of pressure on McNamara today. Really had a pretty clean pocket to throw from, and that helps tremendously. In the past, Wisconsin's had quite a aggressive pass rush that's been hard to stop at times, and I thought the Michigan offensive line did a really great job today. Did a good enough job in the run blocking scheme. Obviously, Wisconsin was loading the box, so I'm not going to say that they did bad in their run blocking. They were just outnumbered in the box, which everybody expected Wisconsin was going to do that. That was no surprise. So overall, great day from the offensive line. Love what I see out of them. I think there were some question marks with that group coming in because of the coaching changes and how all that was going to play out, but fantastic job so far. No complaints whatsoever out of that group. Defensively, the defensive line, like I said, really took a step forward today, both in the run stop and the pass rush. David Ajabo stepping up. And the defensive tackles, you know, I'm not really going to point to one guy because it was pretty much a group effort, but they were just around the football all day, doing a good job of, if not, you know, stifling the run right out the gate, they were at least making things congested and doing a good job of getting off the blocks and getting in on the tackles. So a pretty good job for them, a nice step forward. It was nice to see Ross back in the game. He's definitely the leader of the defense, and his presence was missed last week. He had some nice plays today. Overall, it was pretty quiet from the linebacker group as far as flashing any big plays. They just did their job. And that's okay. Against a team like Wisconsin, that's all you're going to ask your linebackers to do. Just stuff the run. And don't let them get out into open space. That's what they did. So, no complaints there. Pretty quiet day. But, yeah, they did a fantastic job. Ross flashed his pass blitz abilities a couple times. Continues to be a monster in that regard. For sure. But, again, they're all just doing their assignments. And when you play assignment football, you're going to be a tough team to play against. So, good job out of that group. Corners, a little up and down. I still want to see them take a step forward again. They were in some pretty soft coverages. I felt like they could have stepped up and played a little more aggressively on some of those receivers. They chose not to. Part of that may have been scheme. And I can't totally fault Michigan for that or say that that was the wrong idea. You know, Wisconsin's shown, especially from the quarterback position, they're prone to turnovers. So just playing soft coverages and trying to make those guys go long drives down the field without making a mistake is probably a good call. I just felt there was a few times where even when the safety was over the top, the corner was given a pretty big cushion. Both Jamon Green and Vincent Gray. So maybe be a little more aggressive when you have that safety help over the top. That's just another thing that might be a scheme thing. I've pointed that out a few times now, and it seems to be a trend at this point. So could be a scheme thing, but I would like to see those guys take some more chances, get a little bit tighter in your coverage. Jamon Green, there was a play that I can recall where the receiver cracked down on the linebacker, and then they ran that play to the outside, and Jamon Green just did not realize that his wide receiver was going for the block until it was too late, and that allowed I think it was the running back to get the edge, to get around him for a nice play. So it's an awareness thing. When he sees his wide receiver go for that block on the linebacker, he's got to know he's now the edge guy, and you got to drive hard to get back to the outside and make the running back or the receiver or whoever that play is going to. You've got to make him go back inside. You can't let him get the edge like that. So, you know, it's on film now. I'm sure they'll get it figured out, and they'll learn from that moving forward. Daxton Hill. I think we got, in the state of Michigan, there's two of the best safeties in college football right now. You got Dax Hill at Michigan, who's all over the field all the time. Had a great interception today, just sinking underneath the wide receiver's route, and the quarterback baiting the quarterback into that throw. And he continues, you know, hurting, not intentionally, but that pass rush that Dax Hill crushed Graham Mertz today. He's just all over the field. He's a playmaker. Mike McDonald's using him really, really well. He's got him all over the place. Makes things difficult on the offense. So he looks fantastic. One of the best safeties in the country, in my opinion. And also, for Michigan State, Xavier Henderson. So two really good safeties playing right now in the state of Michigan. So, yeah, great game. The other safeties are kind of like the linebackers. They're pretty quiet. You know, they're not all over the place. They're just doing their job, doing assignment football, and that's so crucial, because those guys doing what they're supposed to do allows guys like Aiden Hutchinson and David Ajabo and Daxton Hill and Josh Ross to do what they do. It allows them to be playmakers because they don't have to worry about, you know, covering for everybody else or thinking that they might have to cover for other people. Just allows them to play free, play fast, and it's all coming together. It's a really nice unit. No complaints defensively. Play calling, again, I touched off on it to start this segment, that Mike McDonald, I think, is doing a fantastic job, so I'm not really going to add much more to that. Other than, I love the fact that Wisconsin got some momentum because Michigan went soft late in that half and went conservative, and the first thing they did coming out of half was dial up the pressure again. And that changed the entire course of the second half, in my opinion. If they don't do that, then there's a chance that Wisconsin goes down, gets some points, and now they really got momentum in their favor. So, great job, Mike McDonald, saying, you know what? passing or blitzing the quarterback was working for us. We're going to go back to that. He dialed up pressure. They got Wisconsin to punt the ball away, and then it was all Michigan from there. So I did want to say that as well. Great job by Mike McDonald coming out of halftime saying, you know what, this is just what was working for us. We're going back to it, and it continued to work. Offensive play calling, I thought it was okay today. Not great. You know, it's definitely not the greatest I've ever seen, but I felt like it was a little bit better than it has been to this point. Part of that was out of necessity, that they just had to throw the ball. I think everybody knew that because Wisconsin's rush defense is really good. So, of course, they were going to have to throw the ball. I felt like Josh Gaddis called a good enough game, obviously, to get Michigan the win and to keep Wisconsin's defense from really locking in on any trends. Josh Gaddis sometimes get into a rhythm almost where it's like, you know, run on first down, run on second down, pass on third down. Run on first down, run on second down, pass on third down. And he did a pretty good job of avoiding that today and mixing it up. Sometimes, you know, he would pass on second down or first down. So I would like to see more play calling or more play action still out of the passing game, but overall, I don't have any major complaints. I thought it was just a solid day from the play calling perspective. Not fantastic by any means, but better than what we've seen in previous weeks, and definitely better than what we saw in the Rutgers game, in my opinion. So that was good to see. Jake Moody kicking the football, continuing to do a fantastic job. Making field goals, that's huge. Getting points. Yeah, that's all I really got on this one. Wisconsin's defense is really, really good. I think everybody knew that coming in. They didn't disappoint. They were just put in bad situations by their offense again. And, you know, Michigan just had the better day. Wisconsin's offense put them in bad spots, turned the ball over. They're a little bit of a mess right now. They really remind me a lot of Washington, honestly. You know, their offense is struggling. Their defense is playing well, though. So it's kind of the same situation there. Take that for what it's worth. I think this was a good game for Michigan to prove that they belong in the top 25. But they still haven't played a complete team, in my opinion. Not a team that comes out firing on all cylinders on both sides of the ball. So hopefully they continue to improve as the season moves forward, and we'll see what else they got for us. That'll wrap this one. So remember, all love, all the time. Peace.